UFC Fight Night Vegas 44, Font vs Aldo takes place in only a matter of hours, and I'm going to go through my last minute detailed prediction and breakdown for every single fight on the card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event. I'm not just saying who I believe is going to win and why they're going to win. I did that earlier this week. I'm trying to call how every single fight is going to go, down to a T, what round it's going to be finished in, is there going to be a submission, what submission will be achieved, what limb will be used to KO an opponent, what the scorecards will be if it does go to a decision. Starting with the early prelim opener of Louis Smolka versus Vince Morales. Good fight to start off the card. I'm going to go over Louis Smolka. Second round rear naked choke against Vince Morales. I think they're both going to have a decent stand-up fight on the feet early on. Both guys land good shots back and forth. Maybe Vince Morales lands more of the shots on the feet, but Louis Smolka lands a couple of big shots and maybe gets a takedown towards the end of the first round. Then the second round's going to happen. Both guys are going to land big shots again. It's going to be a fun, high-paced fight to start off the card, but Louis Smolka's going to time a double leg as Vince Morales is going for an exchange, put him on the canvas, and then roll over, take his back, put the hooks in, land big shots until Vince Morales gives up his neck, and then Louis Smolka's going to sink in the rear naked choke in round 2 and finish him off that way by finish. And I think Louis Smolka gets this one done. I think he's got better grappling, and I think he's going to secure that takedown in the second round after Vince Morales is consciously thinking about it after being taken down at the end of the first. I also believe the takedown at the end of the first round for Louis Smolka is going to give him confidence to go for it in the second round as well a bit earlier. So I could see this happening towards the midway point of the second round rather than the latter half of the second round. So I'll say like in the midway point of the second round, Louis Smolka gets a takedown, gets the rear naked choke, and finishes off Vince Morales. Moving on up the card, Claudio Puelles versus Gruetzemacher. Tough one, but I'm going with Claudio Puelles. I think he's going to secure enough positional control and total strikes in the first 2 rounds against Gruetzemacher. He had great grappling against Jordan Levitt, showed that he could keep top position well. He's got very good hips, very good control over his body in terms of keeping his opponent on the mat. I feel like Claudio Puelles is going to go back and forth on the feet, maybe lose some of the stand-up exchanges in the first 2 rounds, but towards the second half of the first and second round, I think he'll get his takedowns. Gruetzemacher will work his way back up to his feet, but Puelles will have him up against the cage, go for like an inside trip and take him down again against the cage, land a couple of big shots, maybe go for a choke, take the back at one point at the end of the first and at the end of the second, and I think he'll win it based on those positional moments, by taking the back, landing good shots, even while being outstruck on the feet by Gruetzemacher. I think in the third round, though, I can see Gruetzemacher starting to stuff some of those takedowns, work his way back up in a bit of a safer fashion so he doesn't get his back taken or anything like that, or doesn't give up too much positional control time. And I can see Claudio Puelles sort of panicking for takedowns because he used so much energy to get them earlier on. And I think I'll see Gruetzemacher landing good shots in the third round, and towards the last 2 minutes, I think he's going to be hunting down Claudio Puelles, looking for a finish. Can't quite find it. Puelles keeps clinching up, pushing him against the cage, and I think Gruetzemacher is going to win the third round, but lose the first 2, so I'm going to call a 29-28 decision for Claudio Puelles. Moving on to the next fight up the card, Alonzo Menifield versus William Knight. My God, this card is actually really good. I'm going to go Alonzo Menifield, and I'm going to go Alonzo Menifield Crucifix TKO. DC versus Ozdemir style. I can see Alonzo Menifield staying at range on the feet early, chopping at that calf from range. William Knight getting really frustrated like he did against Daeun Young because he kept chopping at his legs as well. I feel like William Knight is going to be leg kicked in the first round. He's going to land a couple of big shots. They're not going to KO Alonzo Menifield. Menifield will land a couple of big shots back as well. That's going to make William Knight a little bit less confident to just put all of his weight into his shots. And then eventually Alonzo Menifield at the end of the first round is going to get a takedown, land a couple of ground and pound shots, start looking for a submission, pass over the guard of William Knight as William Knight tries to get back up, secure side control, and then in the first round I think he's going to pin down the crucifix. William Knight's going to be bucking on bottom, trying to get himself back up, wasting his energy, and Alonzo Menifield is going to land those shots the way Dan Hooker was against Nasrat Haqparast at the end of the third round, and I believe he's going to get a first round TKO against William Knight with those crucifix blows from Alonzo Menifield. I reckon he gets this one done by TKO in the first round. Moving on up the card, Cheyanne versus Mallory Martin. I'm going to go with Cheyanne 29-27 unanimous decision. I believe Mallory Martin could win herself this first round. I believe she could maybe get some control time on top, land a couple of decent shots on the feet, maybe gets a takedown in the first round. We've seen Cheyanne had no idea what to do when Montserrat Ruiz put her in a fucking children's playground headlock. No idea what to do in that position, but luckily, women's MMA, Mallory Martin's not even good in any way whatsoever, so I think she'll get Cheyanne down a little bit in the first round, take over, take half guard, land a couple of total strikes. Cheyanne will strike off of her back as well, but because of the control time, you'll give it to Mallory Martin. Cheyanne will get back up a couple of times, but be held against a cage, land some shots at range, but I think Mallory Martin will have to decide her in the first round with that takedown. Then Cheyanne will start stuffing the takedowns in the second round, landing good knees to the body in the clinch, landing good punches in the clinch as well, and Mallory Martin will start to slow down, panic shoot, waste her takedown attempts, lose a bunch of energy, and she'll lose herself the second round 10-9. Then in the third round, I think Mallory Martin's going to go out there, swing heavy in the first minute, go for a bunch of takedowns. Cheyanne will work her way back up or not get taken down in the first place, and then she'll start to get her own takedowns, land big shots. Mallory Martin scrambles back up to her feet. She's exhausted at this point. Cheyanne is teeing off against a cage, landing big knees. Mallory Martin clinching for her life, turning around the clinch, pushing Cheyanne against the cage. Baze separates, lands more big shots. At the end of the third round, I think you'll see Cheyanne just teeing off on Mallory Martin, landing big shots to the face. 1-2. 1-2, 1-2, over and over and over again, and I think she'll get herself a 10-8 round in the third to a 29-27 unanimous decision win for Cheyanne. Moving on to another fight on the card, Jake Matthews versus Jeremiah Wells. I'm going to go with Jeremiah Wells by KO. Is what I'm going to pick. I think Jake Matthews is going to maybe get a takedown, and I think it's going to give him some confidence in the early rounds, but Jeremiah Wells is going to get back up to his feet, land a couple of good knees in the clinch. Jake Matthews will continue to land good shots over the guard, maybe a couple of jabs here and there. Jeremiah Wells will start landing back. Jake Matthews gets another takedown in the first round, and I think out of nowhere, towards the end of the first round, I think Jake Matthews is going to land a hook, go to duck under it for a takedown, and Jeremiah Wells is going to land a flush uppercut straight on the chin and finish Jake Matthews in the first round out of nowhere. Come from behind win, fluky as fuck in my opinion, probably lands it with the wrist and nothing else, but he'll time Jake Matthews going for a takedown with a swift uppercut and then follow up with ground and pound afterwards and be the first man, I believe, to KO Jake Matthews. Maybe someone did it earlier at lightweight, but at welterweight, it'll be the first man to KO Jake Matthews with an uppercut as he goes for a takedown in the first round. Moving on up the card, Bryan Barbarena versus Darian Weeks. I'm going to go with Darian Weeks by first round KO. I think he's got this one in the bag. Very good prospect. I didn't even break this one down, so I'll talk about Darian Weeks in general. Solid amateur career against good competition opponents. Long amateur career he's had against good opponents. A lot of experience there as well. He's fought some decent opponents as a pro. I think this is his time, and I think he's going to go out there. And I'll say second round TKO for Darian Weeks. Decent fight. Barbarena takes some shots. Maybe gets dropped in the first round, but wins the first round in the striking department early on. Darian Weeks starts to get his time in after the first part of the first round. Lands a couple of big shots. Drops Bryan Barbarena at the end, but Barbarena pops right back up and shoots a takedown. They get tangled up in the clinch and they fight each other against the cage for the rest of the round. Round 2 happens. Bryan Barbarena is still somewhat semi-concussed. Tries to exchange again. Darian Weeks lands a big punch, puts him down. This time he's down for good. Follow-up shots afterwards. Second round TKO for Darian Weeks, catching Bryan Barbarena on the chin with a big right hand, I'll say. Moving on up the card, Manel Kape versus Zhalgas Zhumagulov. I'm going with Manel Kape. And I'm going to pick Manel Kape by second round. I'm going to go Manel Kape third round TKO. That's what I'm going to do. Zhalgas Zhumagulov pushing him against the cage early, trying to get takedowns. Manel Kape defending, landing knees to the body, landing punches in the clinch as well. Really boring fight in the first round. A little bit of stuff at range where Manel Kape will land a couple of good leg kicks, a couple of solid jabs. Zhalgas Zhumagulov will land some good inside leg kicks back, a couple of good outside leg kicks, maybe a head kick that glances off. Little shots back and forth, nothing really landing too clean between the pair of them. Zhalgas starts pushing him against the cage. Manel Kape wins the clinch battle, lands knees to the body as well, starting to slow down Zhalgas Zhumagulov. He wins the first round for himself 10-9. Zhalgas Zhumagulov, same thing in the second round. Both guys landing good shots at range. This time Manel Kape landing better shots at range. Hard leg kicks that are starting to show an effect on Zhalgas Zhumagulov. And then whenever Zhalgas shoots against a cage, I think Manel Kape's going to land some good knees to the body. Good punches in the clinch as well. Then the third round is going to be a big one from Kape. You'll see Zhalgas Zhumagulov stepping funny on his leg from the leg kicks early on, starting to feel those body shots a little bit more and starting to bail out from the clinch after taking a couple of knees. And I think that's when Kape's going to pounce. He's going to land a couple of knees as Zhalgas pushes him up against the cage. Zhalgas is going to react to it and sort of separate, and Kape's going to go, this is my time, push him up against the cage again. Big shots, tie clinch, knees, like he was doing against Mateus Nicolau, where he should have won that fight in the 3rd round. Big knees against the cage. Zhalgas tries to defend and hunch over, leaves his face open for another big knee. I'll say a knee tie clinch KO for Manel Kape in the 3rd round of this bout by TKO. Moving on up the card, Maki Pitolo versus Dusko Todorovic. I'm going to go with Maki Pitolo via decision. I'm going to go split decision Maki Pitolo. I think this is going to be an entertaining fight, an all-out war. But I think Kape, I think Maki Pitolo is going to land the better shots, more of the shots. Dusko's going to have moments where maybe he drops Maki Pitolo out of nowhere in the 1st round, but doesn't quite get the finish, and uses a lot of energy going for it, but doesn't get himself a 10-8 round. 10-9 round in the 1st for Dusko Todorovic, and then Maki Pitolo will sort of grind out the 2nd round, win it back for himself, despite maybe getting rocked or something, and then firing back, maybe dropping Dusko or something, and then he gets dropped. I think it's going to be an all-out barn burner, but Maki Pitolo is going to land better shots, keep the pressure on, and have better pacing than Dusko Todorovic throughout the fight, and I think he'll win this one, landing knees against the cage, landing big shots, getting a takedown here and there where he needs it to land some big shots at the end of the rounds. I think it's going to be a very close fight, but I think Maki Pitolo is going to steal the 2nd round with a takedown at the end and a couple of ground and pound shots, and I think he'll win himself the 3rd round very comfortably, leaving it to a 29-28 split decision because one judge will be retarded. Moving on to the main card, Alex Morono versus Mickey Gall. I'm going with Alex Morono, and I'm going to go Alex Morono via late 2nd round TKO. No, late 3rd round TKO against Mickey Gall. I think he'll do it against Mickey Gall in the 3rd round. I think Mickey Gall's maybe going to take down Alex Morono in the 1st, put one hook in. Alex Morono's going to be against a cage, so Mickey Gall can't get the other hook in. They're going to be punching each other in the clinch here and there. Mickey Gall can't quite progress position, so he's against a cage, not really doing anything. It's a little bit of a stalemate in the first 2 minutes. They both get back up. Both guys land big shots on each other. Mickey Gall maybe lands a big right hand that sort of like shocks Alex Morono, like, wow, this guy's got a bit of power. Let me give him some respect. But Morono's going to win the 1st round with his jab, with his 2 straight boxing combinations, and I think he'll win the 1st round barely, despite being taken down early. Then I think Mickey Gall's going to shoot again in the 2nd, try and progress position, but Alex Morono's going to leave him in the same position, not letting him progress position whatsoever, landing good shots from behind him even in certain moments when they're in the clinch against a cage. Mickey Gall maybe takes the back against a cage, Morono gets the underhook, lands some good knees to the body, couple of elbows at some point when Mickey Gall's going for a desperate takedown, they separate. More shots at range for Alex Morono. Couple of good body shots now as well. Couple of good kicks to the body from Alex Morono. Couple of good kicks to the body back from Mickey Gall, and he comes back at the end of the 2nd round raring, but still loses the 2nd round based on accumulative damage. But I think he will have a good end to the end of the 2nd round. And then in the 3rd round, I think Morono's going to land some big shots. I think Mickey Gall's going to throw a big one, trying to get some respect back. Morono lands a good counter right hand, straight on the chin. Mickey Gall stumbles backwards a little bit, pops back up, gets his bearings about him. Alex Morono pushes him against the cage. Body shot, 1-2, 1-2. Very Daniel Rodriguez style finish, in my opinion, this is going to be. And he's just sort of letting loose flurries on Mickey Gall against the cage, who eventually wilts down to the canvas. Much like Chuck Liddell versus Tito Ortiz, where Liddell TKO'd him with those shots against the cage. Gall's covering up. Eventually he goes down and looks disappointed with himself. And the fight is called off. Alex Morono by 3rd round TKO. Moving on up the card, Brendan Allen versus Chris Curtis. I'm going to go with Brendan Allen via 1st round rear naked choke. I think he's got this one. 1st round rear naked choke against Chris Curtis. I think he's going to land some good shots on the feet early. Front kicks to the body kicks, just straight up round kicks to the body, hurting Chris Curtis a bunch of times. Curtis will land like a big shot, but Brendan Allen will sort of take it, realise it was a big shot, adjust himself, go back to his boxing, stick his jab out there, keep behind the jab against Chris Curtis. Couple of good leg kicks from Brendan Allen as well. Chris Curtis shoots a takedown. Allen stuffs it well, lands a couple of good knees, reverses the takedown. So I can see Chris Curtis shooting on Brendan Allen, pushing him up against a cage, Allen getting double underhooks, landing a solid knee that sort of wins Chris Curtis, and then shooting right away underneath it, getting his own takedown. And as Chris Curtis is trying to get back up against a cage, I think he's going to give up his neck. Brendan Allen will pounce on it, double hooks him, put the body triangle in, roll to his back, sink in a rear naked choke at the end of the 1st round. Brendan Allen gets this one done by 1st round rear naked choke. Moving on up the card, Clay Guida versus Leonardo Santos. I'm going to go with Clay Guida 29-28 unanimous decision. I think Leonardo Santos will have moments in the first round where maybe he rocks Clay Guida for a second and Guida gets rattled, has to recompose himself, calm down a little bit. He's shooting for takedowns, but Leonardo's punching him or elbowing him as he's doing it. Clay Guida steps back up, lands a couple of good shots on the feet, a couple of good body shots here and there. Leonardo Santos, though, is going to be getting the better of things on the feet at range, landing good shots whenever Clay Guida's failing to get takedowns, and I think he'll do good in the first round and get himself a 10-9 in decision in the first round. Then the second and third round is going to be a different story. Second round a bit closer, but Clay Guida's going to start to pull ahead as the round goes on. Leonardo Santos has a good first 3 minutes. He's slightly winning the first 3 minutes against Clay Guida, but then Clay Guida starts to take over at the end of the second round, lands some good shots to the body, start getting some of the takedowns, and Leonardo Santos is looking up at the clock while he's got his ass on the ground. Clay Guida landing some total strikes while he's in on the takedown, trying to tie up the legs Dagestani style. And I think Leonardo Santos is going to start to be mentally defeated, doesn't like where it's going, he's gassing out a little bit, doesn't like the situation he's in. He loses the end of the second round and loses the second round because of it in a close round. Third round, Clay Guida keeps getting his takedowns, keeps landing his good shots. Santos works his way back up, but Guida's working his body against the cage, separating, landing big shots to the head. Now Leonardo Santos wants to clinch up, push Clay Guida up against the cage, but Guida will get another takedown, land good shots of total strikes until the end of the bell, and get himself a 29-28 unanimous decision based on the last 2 rounds, based on cardio. Moving on up the card, Jimmy Crute versus Jamahal Hill. I'm going to go with Jimmy Crute by first round Kimura, I believe. I think he's going to go out there, land a couple of solid leg kicks early on Jamahal Hill. Jamahal Hill is going to jab his face off for like a first minute or so, I believe. And I do worry that maybe Jimmy Crute will like to prove himself in the stand-up here and get his face jabbed off for the entire fight long and maybe KO'd. But I don't see it happening. I can see Jimmy Crute staying at range, moving around a lot, showing a lot of feints. Jamahal Hill not knowing when to engage. Jimmy Crute landing solid leg kicks on Jamahal Hill. Good jabs to the body. A couple of jabs upstairs as he gets jabbed himself. A couple of good combos land from Jamahal Hill. Crute lands a good leg kick again. A couple of solid leg kicks in a row towards the first half of the first round. Jamahal Hill's already feeling the leg kicks. Once he does that, Crute's going to start winging some hooks over the top. Jamahal Hill's going to start leaning back. So Jimmy Crute is going to throw a big hook over the top. Jamahal Hill will lean back. Crute will then see this, double leg underneath, get the takedown easily, pin Jamahal Hill to the mat, who will immediately try and back and weave, and that will give Crute time to get side control, half guard, more positional control, land total strikes. Eventually he gets to side control though, and Jamahal Hill's trying to bail out, roll over, but Crute keeps position, lands a couple of elbows with his forearm, starts grinding his forearm into Jamahal Hill's face, which gives up the arm. Then Jimmy Crute's going to see that he's given up the arm, go for his signature Kimura, which I believe he has the most of in the UFC, by the way, and I think he's going to get that Kimura in the first round and tap out Jamahal Hill, who'll have flashbacks about how bad his arm was after the Paul Craig fight, and I think Jamahal Hill gets his arms tortured again by Jimmy Crute by first round Kimura. First of all, moving on to the co-main events, the big one, Brad Riddell versus Rafael Fiziev. I can see an all-out war, 29-28 decision, and I think this is going to be based on cardio again. Rafael Fiziev is going to win the first round. I believe he's even going to maybe rock Brad Riddell in the first round, but Riddell will recover, go for a takedown, maybe get it for a second, but Fiziev will pop right back up. Riddell's pushing him against the cage, looking for a takedown, kneeing on the thigh, kneeing to the body, a couple of punches here and there, but Fiziev breaks free, separates, lands more good shots on the feet. Riddell's landing good shots back here and there, but Fiziev's taking them well, but they are big shots from Riddell. Riddell takes more body kicks, couple of leg kicks as well. Fiziev starting to land a lot of kicks on Brad Riddell early. Towards the end of the first round, Riddell's going to get another takedown. Fiziev is going to try his best to stuff it, and he will. Separate the grip, find the underhook. They're grappling against the cage for a bit. Riddell shoots again for another takedown because he doesn't like to stand up in the first round. Fiziev stuffs it again, but uses a lot of energy and just sort of forces Riddell off of him with double underhooks. Then the second round happens. Riddell's doing a bit better. Fiziev starts winning the first 2 minutes on the feet of the second round. Riddell starts landing a couple of good lead hooks to the body, a couple of good body kicks of his own, a couple of good hooks upstairs of his own, a couple of good leg kicks of his own. Fiziev still landing the good shots, but I feel like the body shots and the leg shots from Brad Riddell are going to be more effective and more impactful than Rafael Fiziev's, even though Fiziev looks like he's doing them more damaging. I think Riddell's just a little bit tougher to the body and the leg. Riddell's landing big hooks to the body over and over again, still shooting takedowns as well after overhooks, shooting into a takedown, putting Fiziev on the ground. Fiziev's going to keep getting back up like it's nothing, but that's going to start to drain his cardio. And I think it's going to be a very close second round. Both guys landing good shots. Fiziev winning the first half, Riddell winning the second half, but Riddell getting a takedown out of nowhere at the end of the second, landing total strikes and securing himself the second round, 10-9. Third round happens. Riddell starting to land big shots. Fiziev is starting to do really good in the first 2 minutes, but as the round goes on in the last 3 minutes, I think you'll see a complete change. Riddell start landing more body shots, start mixing in the kicks, lead hook to a leg kick over and over and over again. Good jab, good two. Fiziev's rattled back a little bit. Fiziev gets rocked for a second towards the end of round 3. Riddell smells blood, goes for it. They start trading back and forth against the cage. The crowd's going wild, if there is a crowd. I think there's a small crowd in the Apex that will be going somewhat wild. So the crowd will be going mild, should I say. Riddell's landing big shots. Fiziev swinging back. Couple good kicks from both of them. Riddell lands good knees to the body against the cage. A couple of good elbows when they break from the clinch. Real smothered game at the end of the third round. Fiziev starting to run away now a little bit because he's been cracked by a good elbow. A couple of good shots as well. His leg's starting to hurt him a little bit. Maybe he's broken his foot by kicking the elbows of Brad Riddell. And then Riddell's going to be hunting him down. Landing good shots. Good body shot again. Good leg kick. The round's going to be over. Riddell's won the third round very clearly. Started to hunt down Rafael Fiziev, and he'll win this fight 29-28 as the rounds go on, based on the last 2 rounds. Moving on up the card, Rob Font versus Jose Aldo. I'm going to go with Jose Aldo decision. I'll say 48-47 decision for Jose Aldo. I can see Aldo winning this one on the feet for 5 rounds. Not every round, of course. I think he wins the first 3 rounds of this one. I think the first round's going to be very patient. Rob Font's going to be worried about the power of Aldo early. He can't just rush in there. Looks for his shots, tries to set up his jab. I think a couple of times Aldo's going to slip the jab and land a right hand over the top. Maybe a body shot as well after slipping a jab, and land some good body shots in the first round. Font's going to start worrying about throwing his jab as much. He's starting to get figured out a little bit here. He's not quite as fast as he thought he would be against Aldo in the first round. Aldo's just another level quickness in that first round, slipping on the inside of the jab, landing a body hook, landing a right hand over the top, landing a good leg kick after his body shots as well. I think Font's going to be moving around, starting to get his tempo back, trying to warm up into the fight. Aldo's going to chop at the legs from range, land more good shots as well. Font tries to land back, lands a couple of good shots of his own. Doesn't do enough. Aldo lands some good leg kicks again. Good body shots again. Font's going to shoot for a takedown at the end of the first round just to put that fear in Aldo's mind. But Aldo's going to shake him off. End up on top maybe and land a couple of total strikes towards the end of the first round. 10-9 Aldo. Second round. A bit closer. Jose Aldo still landing his body shots, still landing his leg kicks. Couple of them this time now. Font's starting to check a few of them to put Aldo off of throwing them, but his leg's already somewhat damaged. Aldo starts throwing a couple of inside leg kicks as well this time. Couple of good jabs to the body, couple of good jabs upstairs, but the boxing exchanges are a little bit easier now for both of them, or easier for Rob Font to deal with. He starts to land back his own shots. He starts to dig with that uppercut as Aldo comes in and maybe tags him a couple of times with it. Font's going to maybe land a good front kick to the body, a good front kick to the face towards the end of the second round, but Aldo's going to have already done enough in a stand-up and win himself the second round. In a close round, Aldo's going to know he needs the third. Land some good shots on Rob Font again in the early part of the third round. Font's going to start to come back towards the end of the third round again, but it's not going to be enough. Aldo's landed better shots. I think at one point in the third round, Aldo's going to land a nasty lead left hook to the liver, and it's going to actually hurt Rob Font for a second, and he's going to cover up for a bit, and Aldo's going to smell blood. Go for him, start winging shots like he was against Donato Moicano, but Font's going to clinch up, keep him there, slow down the fight for a little bit after doing well in the third round. He's been rocked, he's been hurt, and he's lost himself the third round. Aldo separates, lands a couple of good leg kicks. Font starts landing a couple of good 1-2s towards the very end of the third, but he's already been hurt. He's lost himself the third round. The fourth round, Aldo's going to land good shots again. I can't control my mouth feels so weird throughout this video. I don't know what's fucking going on right now. But Jose Aldo landing good shots in the first 2 minutes of the fourth. But now Font's starting to recognise it. He's starting to check the leg kicks. He's starting to move out the way of the leg kicks, make Aldo miss, land a good right hand on the counter, stick his jab out there. Aldo's head movement is going to be twitching all over the place the entire fight long. That's starting to slow down. Font's starting to lead up his jab, fake the jab and then throw a hook and catch Aldo sort of leaning into it. Jab, uppercut, catch Aldo, land a good uppercut to the body, a good knee to the body towards the end of the fourth round. Aldo's going to clinch up, separate, jab, leg kick, body shot, but you can see he's starting to slow down. He's not keeping the center of the cage anymore. He's starting to move backwards. Font's landing the jab as Aldo retreats, jab to the body. Fourth round's over. Font's starting to do really good. He's won himself the fourth round in a still competitive round, but he's won himself the fourth round. Fifth round happens. Aldo gives us a good minute and a half in the first part of the fifth. landing good shots, good leg kicks again, and Font is feeling these leg kicks. He's feeling the body shots. His hands are starting to come down. Aldo lands a good shot upstairs, a good 1-2 upstairs. Font takes it well, and it's sort of like a sign of defeat for Aldo. I've just hit this guy with a clean shot. He isn't going anywhere. He's starting to walk me down, and I think it's going to be a Font tuning up Aldo in the 5th round, landing good 1-2s. Aldo throwing back here and there like he was against Holloway, but landing good body shots, landing good headshots back. Font starts to land like a 5-punch combination. Jab, jab 2, jab, rear uppercut, lands on Aldo, and Aldo will just wing back with a big hook, and they'll be saying on the commentary, but Aldo's still dangerous. He's pressuring Aldo, but Aldo's still dangerous. He's got to watch out as he pressures, and Font's going to keep pressuring him. Cut off the cage, move around, jab to the body, front kick to the face, leg kick of his own, jab 2, goes in to land the big shots. Aldo cracks back again with like a 3-punch combo of desperation. Bap, 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 lands on Font. Font stumbles back. They both end up in the center of the cage. Font starts to pressure him again towards the last minute or so of the round 5. Lands some good jabs. 1-1-2 again. Body shot. Aldo swinging back. Now Aldo shooting for a takedown. Font stuffs it well. Ends up on top. Aldo's clinging on bottom, just holding on the bottom, like Font was against Cody Garbrandt at the end of their 5th round. And I think Font's going to try and land some total strikes. It's going to be like a Zabit Qatar situation, where Aldo gets a takedown but doesn't end up in a great position, taking some strikes on bottom. Font gets his base back under him, ends up on top, trying to land total strikes again, but it's not going to be enough for a 10-8 round. There's going to be discussions over whether it should have been a 10-8 round. I don't think it's going to be a 10-8 round. I think it's going to be a dominant round for Rob Font, though, and he's going to lose it 48-47 based on the first 3 rounds, but it's going to be close. One judge might give it a draw. There you go. I'll go Jose Aldo, majority decision, 48-47. One judge gives the 5th round a 10-8 when they maybe shouldn't have, because it's a bit too much to give it a 10-8. So I'll say that. Majority decision, Jose Aldo, 2 judges, 48-47 based on the first 3 rounds. Like and subscribe. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.